This is Spoken by Elswith, a Femdom Hypnosis podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe. Plus, visit my website for sessions too intense to be included here. Visit my Patreon to collect your free codes for sessions. Hello, dear. I am sharing a fun session about Sissy maids today. It's a narrative session, so lots of hypnotic language, but imagine that it's not so much that I'm training you, conditioning you, but more like I'm telling you a story, a fantasy, a shared daydream, and telling you what you feel, giving you space to add in a little of that creativity from your own mind. But before I get into that, I want to try something a little different. I want to borrow a like. Assuming you're listening to this on YouTube, because it only takes you a second, you just hit like right now. And then, if you don't actually enjoy yourself with me today, you can have it back. Is that fair? And if you're not listening on YouTube, well, maybe you can rate this podcast episode, give it a favorite or a star, and if you're on my podcast feed on the website, then you can just promise that you'll like that instead. Or hell, who knows? Let's keep it easy. Y'all can all go over to YouTube and just hit like there. Alright, so this is a slight departure from my usual Maid theme sessions because, well, you might already know, depending on when you found me, you might already know that I actually have three Maid personas that I've created with some help that you can lose yourself in. I'm not going to tell you about them right now because, well, you will meet them in the session. And that's because I'm not going to ask you to take on one of those roles right now. Instead, you're just going to spend some quality time with them. Some fun time, some entertaining time, I don't know. You're just going to spend some time with them. And I really think that you're going to enjoy it. And I like that I have to word that like there's some possible chance that you're not going to. And while I'm just, really thinking and guessing and wondering, I also really think that you're going to be left wanting more. So there will be more, in fact, waiting over on the website, an uncensored version of this podcast with some parts that just aren't suitable for the podcast feed. I'll make sure that you can find that easily. But this is a complete experience in its own right if you just listen to this part here. And again, I'm sure it will be rewarding. Then, there's a whole host of other Maid sessions available on my website, and a few other podcasts that you might enjoy. Quite a bit of it there is free and just waiting for you. I have a new content guide on the site that's just designed to signpost to some of my favorite things that I've created. Lead you to where you need to be. When we're done with our fun session, I'm going to tell you about a few other things that I have in store for you. But let's get to the fun part. So right now, find quiet and calm. A place where you're unlikely to be interrupted. And relax. And we can have some fun. This is the Slumber Party, spoken by Elswith. You would love a night with me. I assure you that you would. You will love a night with me. I assure you the things I could do with a smart but relatively inexperienced guy such as yourself. The things I can do. I could drag you to the dungeon, certainly, where I've everything I need to help you explore the depths of pleasure and the heights of pain. Or I can have you perform for me anywhere else, my library or the bedroom. I could spend the evening drawing your dirtiest fantasies out of your mind, laying everything bare, and then laugh at how mundane they seem in comparison to what I do to you, what I'd make you do for me. But that isn't why you've been invited to my home, my shared headspace. You're here to be indoctrinated. You're here to be shown a particular lifestyle. Not so much that you won't be able to resist, and not because I have decided already that I simply must add you to my harem of servants, but simply because this little gathering will be a good thing for you. And where do good things come from? What do I like to give to you? Somewhere you might gain some insight into some very particular interests, and in a fashion where there's no reason to be embarrassed. And in a fashion where there's no reason to be embarrassed, because everyone who sees you, who knows exactly what you will get up to, is far more hopelessly lost in their role as a sissified, feminized, chastised, and kept servant. More far hopelessly lost than you. I want you to retain this mindset for me as you go deep. You are right now playing a role. It might be that you are in truth hopelessly devoted to me, but I want a different version of you, one less familiar with the pleasures I can bring you. And it might be easy for you to imagine being a tourist. You might, in fact, be one, with no need to slip into the right mindset. Being the guy who isn't sure exactly what he's walking into, but knows that I promise wild fantasies, fantastical daydreams, deep training, and genuine conditioning. You're not here because you are always thinking about being forced into lingerie and a short skirt, and made to scrub my kitchen floors before you serve me in other, more strenuous ways. You're here because I'm promising something fresh and unique, and you are bored. You are tired of the same old, and you know exactly what I mean. Let me, sure, allow me, give me permission to show you what's better, because I can do that. There is no one else like me. There isn't a soul out there that can get in there, and that head of yours, like I can. It's not arrogance when you know you're right. And I know I've hit my mark by the tingle that you feel inside of you. And that's perfect, because I'm happy to use lust and the lingering possibility of more to guide you. I'm going to help you find a state of hypnotic trance. And this, it might be a shallow one, dear. It might be just deep enough that your imagination, it's open to my suggestions. Just enough that when I tell you that you can see something, you can picture it perfectly. Just enough that when I tell you to feel something, hear something, that your mind, it's open to the possibility, and you can imagine easily anything that I set in front of you. But if you like to be more open for me, if you would like to show me how much you trust me by opening for me, then I promise you can go as deep as you like. You can go deep. Just relax into it. Get comfortable. And in a moment, I'm going to count up to 4. And you're going to breathe in deeply, fully. And then for a few breaths, in and out, you are going to hand over control of your next breath to me. And the next, and the next. And by the time that I am done, you will be ready for what comes next. Ready? In, 2, 3, 4. Your breath out will take twice as long. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. It feels good, so good to do exactly as I say. Out, 2, no thinking, 3, no worrying, 4, nothing of that. 5, 6, just falling down into this perfect behavior. 2, 3, following. 4, and maybe if I speak softly, you can imagine that I'm just behind you. 2, 3, putting these words directly in your ear. 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4, Imagine being in my home. Imagine your excitement. Out, 2, or nervousness, 4, or fear, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. You don't need those emotions. You can be calm. Out. You can be relaxed. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. You can trust that I am showing you a good thing. Out. And you know where good things come from. 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. Sink into the fantasy. Out. 2. Allow yourself to focus on my voice alone. 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. You can be good. You can be obedient for me. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. You can do exactly as I say. Out. 2. This is perfect. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can breathe normally now, but do notice how steady and easy your breathing is. Your body is comfortable, and you are able to relax immediately after concentrating so hard on obeying me. Keep listening carefully, and I promise to tell you exactly what comes next. My maids have their quarters downstairs because I am nothing if not a traditionalist. So in order to meet with them, in order to step into this daydream, you will have to head down a long and curved wooden staircase. You can picture exactly what this staircase is like for me. It's easy to do because there's no wrong answer. Perhaps it has carpet held firm by brass rods like a fancy hotel. Perhaps the boards are left bare to show off the grain of the wood and the richness of the varnish. Maybe the staircase has a wooden handrail. With any of these possibilities, you know one thing for certain, that there are exactly 100 steps. I am going to begin counting down those 100 steps, and you will be able to imagine each one underfoot as you descend.
199.
You know
98,
what awaits at the bottom of the stairs.
97. 96. 95. 94. 93, 92,
a long corridor,
91,
a dozen doors on either side,
90, 89, 88, 87, 86.
As you walk down the stairs,
84,
you can tell that you are getting closer.
82, 81, 80, 79, 78, 77, 76,
Deeper and
75,
closer to the state
74,
of hypnotic trance I promised you.
73, 72, 71, 70, 69, 68,
And through
67,
each one, a
66,
different daydream.
65, 64, 63, 62, 61.
All the
60,
multitude of things that you can
59,
experience for me.
58, 57, 56, 55, 54, 53.
But
52,
today, it's not
51,
your dream we will be
50,
visiting.
49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44.
My servants are waiting to
43,
welcome you,
42,
and it is Margaret's door that you will find.
41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35.
When you reach the bottom of the
34,
staircase, you will be
33,
able to immediately imagine the
32,
sound of your knuckles
31,
against the wooden door.
30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25,
When you reach the
24,
bottom of the staircase,
23,
you will be completely ready
22,
for what comes next.
21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15,
So close now.
13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
So close to being
5,
deep for me.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Margaret answers the door to your polite knock. She's elegantly presented in an old-fashioned cotton nightgown, heavily embroidered. You can't see everything on it because she has a book pressed against her chest. Her hair is loosely braided and then clipped up. You get the impression that perhaps you caught her reading, and the way that she's holding her book is her way of keeping her place. But you do not get the impression that you have her flustered. Indeed, she smiles at you and opens the door wide so you can enter. You want to enter, to come inside. And she tells you to do this. Do come in. We've been waiting for you. Hopefully you will distract the others so I can get to the end of my chapter. The others, they come into view for you now. There's Prissy, almost certainly facing away from you. Prissy is sitting in an easy chair, and Pixie, well, Pixie is cross-legged on the floor right in front. Pixie offers a smile that's filled with excitement and waves at you, still daintily holding a nail varnish brush between forefinger and thumb. "Hi, newbie," she says to you. "I'm a little busy, but I'll get to you later, I'm sure." You can see now that Pixie is carefully painting Prissy's toenails. Cuticle scissors, emery boards, and other paraphernalia are scattered on the floor, and a plastic tub of tiny glass bottles spills over, with shades mostly pink. Margaret invites you to sit wherever you please, though gestures to a large pillow lying on the floor. You can see that Pixie is sitting on another just like it, and you can easily intuit that they're not usually part of the furniture of this room. They've been dragged in from elsewhere for tonight, but you can make yourself comfortable now, physically at least. It's okay if it takes you a little while longer to warm up. Sit cross-legged too. Sink into the downy cushion. You can now notice how Pixie is dressed. A satiny camisole in mint green with matching shorts. The ensemble was outlined with a narrow band of contrasting lace. A well-made bedtime set from at least a mid-tier lingerie company. Pixie's attention goes back to Prissy's toenails. Look to what my other maid is wearing for her pedicure. Nothing so demure as Margaret's Victorian nightdress, or Pixie's modern, relaxed look. Prissy is wearing a purple baby doll nightgown with so much volume and frills. It comes down only to mid-thigh, and white petticoats, they burst out from beneath it. You might say she looks a little like a decorative lampshade, if you weren't trying to be polite. Margaret, you can sense, is settled on what must be her bed behind you. You can hear the pages of the book being turned. Pixie lets the silence last only a few minutes, a few moments, before something else must be said. Whose turn was it, at Truth or Dare? A voice behind you says, "Yours, Pixie. Choose." Pixie sighs dramatically. "Oh no, are you sure? Ah well, truth, I suppose." Then, When I went to your dressing room earlier, there were a dozen red roses on your dresser. Who are those from? If there's a hint of embarrassment on Pixie's face, you can't detect it. Her response comes immediately, and she seems entirely proud of herself. You know exactly who they're from because you are a snoop, a nib-nose, and the card was right there, so you would have read it. But I'm asking, says the voice behind you. You hear the book close, and then hear it set on the bedside table. Well, they're from Mistress's good friend, Mr. Dooley, of course. He's quite enamored with me. Quite so. You've been to his home a few times now. How have you earned such a pretty gift? Just by doing a few chores? Pixie's answer seems like a non sequitur. There were chocolates too. Sorry, but I didn't feel like sharing. The room goes quiet for just a moment. Take that time to look around. This room is a simple one, plainly decorated, but dotted with pretty things, personal possessions. There's a dressing table with a polished mirror, a few unlabeled perfume bottles, a vintage hairbrush. The freestanding wardrobe appears to be a carefully restored antique. The bed frame you had noticed is an old Edwardian thing of enameled iron and brass details. Plain white sheets layered with whole cloth quilts. A floral motif applied tastefully, sparingly by the curtains, the pillows and cushions. The person who sleeps here, lives here, is a traditionalist. You can imagine now what Pixie and Prissy's dressing rooms might look like, how they would reflect their personalities. You might, if I gave you a few moments, imagine what your dressing room would look like. Just a few moments, just think. Margaret has kneeled next to you, not on the cushion, but on a rug nearby. So the four of you now form a loose circle. She has a dark green bottle, like a wine bottle, you suppose, and 4 mismatched mugs and glasses. Our guest isn't going to get away with being dressed this way all night, no? Absolutely not. No real outside clothes allowed. Prissy will get jealous. No, I won't, pipes up Prissy from the chair. But this sets Pixie off with a tittering laugh. No, we know you won't. You like your silly little outfits too much. They excite you when you're allowed to be excited. Pixie and Prissy bicker for a moment, but you tune them out as you are drawn to what Margaret is doing. With a twist, she pulls out the cork and palms it so she can lift the bottle and hold the stem of the first glass with her other hand. If the other two maids are saying anything of interest, it barely registers. You find yourself focused entirely on Margaret's hands as she pours a splash into each vessel. The silvery bracelet she wears around her left wrist is as far away as you can draw your attention from the cups, the bottle, until the cork is pushed back into the opening. And then you're handed a heavy mug with just a little dark red liquid. It has a potent aroma, laden with berries and promising an immediate head rush after consumption. But you see the three maids take their cups and glasses and raise them to their lips, and you realize how deeply you wish to belong, at least for a moment. So drink, dear. There's just enough for one deep sip. So drink deeply. The effect is immediate. Only for a beat, it feels like the room spins, like your conscious mind is disconnected from your body. But I promise you, this is a pleasant sensation, for the most part. As it fades, you have moved from the cushion on the floor to that easy chair. Your foot is resting in Pixie's lap, and it's your toenails that are getting that careful attention with the nail polish brush now. You remember a little praise being pushed your way about how it was obvious you've scrubbed up before this visit. You remember a little gentle filing and feeling slightly flustered at being given a choice of colors. You picked an iridescent ivory, and on your left foot, the one that's finished already, you can see the oil slick shimmer as it dries. You can decide if you like it, dear. You can decide if you wish you had chosen a bold pink instead. Margaret has chosen a dare, but has staunchly refused to go through with the first two suggestions. First, Prissy proposed that Margaret should apply for a job as a hotel maid. Margaret dodged by saying she would, of course, starting tomorrow. This got Pixie riled up, protesting that the dare wasn't any fun if they didn't get to see the results. So she suggested instead that Margaret call on Ellsworth on her mistress right now and admit to a terrible transgression. Remember the stain? Do you really want to keep talking about the stain? Absolutely I do, says Pixie. Mistress was convinced that I left lipstick on that champagne glass. I ended up with 5 cane strokes. 5. But I know it was one of the two of you. Well, I'm not taking credit. It wasn't my fault. Pixie grumbles for just a moment, and then in a flash grins instead. Well, then you forfeit. Fetch me the kitty cat ears. Margaret protests, but it's Prissy that gets up and finds the requested item. A black headband with kitty cat ears is procured from a tote bag. Pixie has found an eyeliner pencil from her own supplies. Both maids are approaching Margaret. Whiskers are drawn onto cheeks. A pathetic little cry of ouch is answered with no, no. Kitties just say meow. I want you to think about how you feel here in this moment. The attention is not on you, so you have time to consider your feelings. Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel at home? Do you feel a sense of camaraderie? Or do you feel like an outsider? There's no wrong answer. This is an experience for you to consider at your own pace. It might be that when this evening is done, you have no desire to return. It might be you just want more and more. More and more time in this mode with me as mistress, dictating the way you act, the way you dress, demanding service in whichever way it might be requested. And the answer that's on the tip of your tongue right now, keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself because it might change before the night is over. It's your turn, says Pixie, putting away the eyeliner. Your nails are finished now. It takes you a moment to realize that it's your turn for truth or dare. Meow, says Margaret, as you consider your options. It's odd to hear the one you had considered the grown-up in the room making animal noises, and Pixie decides to explain to you. Kitty cats, even kitty cat maids, can still speak, of course. They just need to ask permission first. And Maggie is the kitty cat now, until someone else forfeits. Margaret meows again with a hint of frustration. Pixie grants permission in that sing-song voice again. Yes, yes, impatient kitten. What is it? It should be truth, then dare. We've been playing for hours. The trio share conniving smiles, and it's agreed. Prissy, why don't you choose the truth? Someone says. And dear one, dear tourist, it's only a moment before Prissy has a question for you. Whose outfit do you like best? Oh, how cruel. Do you know your hosts well enough to make sure you don't offend? Will it seem less rude if you take the time to look them over again? That you had to really think hard about it. Look at Pixie's pretty, under things only look, or at the way Margaret's night dress covers her completely. Oh, but of course, she's wearing the cat ears too. Do they count? And then there's Prissy's ridiculous nightgown. As if you can see the future, you can imagine that your choice will inform the promised costume change you're going to be subjected to. You're going to choose when I count down to 0 from 3, 2, 1. 0. Fix your answer in your mind. Imagine the smiles when you say your choice aloud. Then feel the soft hands around your wrists, pulling you up to your feet, guiding you gently to the wardrobe. I'm going to give you a few moments to imagine what happens next. But you don't have to do anything, I promise. You accept this change being made for you. You accept the clothing you were wearing being removed. You accept being dressed instead, similarly, if not identical, to one of my sissy servants. One day, you will tell me which, and I'll tell you that I knew. I wasn't told, I just knew all along. I know you. I know which one feels right to you. My lady's maid, my French maid, my sissy maid. You wear your nature on your sleeve, and I accept you just that way. So feel it now. I promise, for these few moments, being dressed this way, it will feel oh so good. It thrills you to be seen this way. I know it does. It would thrill you even more to have me see you this way. Perhaps always. Learn how to be pleasing. Can't you tell that there are so many ways you can do that? One will suit you perfectly. You will know that it is made for you, and you will be a good maid for me. You know that a dare is coming, don't you, dear tourist? It's a simple one. You are told that you are allowed, if you like, to sleep on the pillows on the floor. You are told that there's a warm blanket for you and that you will be quite content. But we dare you. We dare you, says the trio. We dare you to slip into bed with us. It's plenty big enough. We promise. You'll be very comfortable. You can even take the middle. You'll feel so good there. I'm going to count up from 0 to 5, and when I reach 5, I promise that the state of hypnotic trance that has been cast over you will lift. And if it's right, if it fits your circumstances, then when I reach 0, you will be ready for sleep. And if you haven't chosen whether or not to accept that dare already, I promise you will before you drift off. You will know exactly where you are. perhaps between Margaret and Prissy in bed, or perhaps with the kitty cat ears, a sign of forfeit, and curled up on the pillow on the floor. But if you simply must, then when you hear me say good night, you will be able to continue the sleepy thoughts I've given you as little more than a daydream. They will stay with you through the day and be waiting for you whenever you do seek slumber. 5. Coming up now, becoming more aware. 4. Thinking about what has happened. 3. Happy and content that you got to experience everything that I promised. 2. Imagining your return perhaps, just thinking about whether you would. 1. You have been such a delightful guest. 0. Perfect. Good night. Like I promised, there is a bit more to this story that I'm keeping for you on my website. Patrons can choose to claim that for free and also add my fantastically snuggly, just a little bit naughty, winter cuddle session for upcoming cold nights. Not yet up on my website is the big project I'm working on behind the scenes. It has kept me busy. It's keeping me busy. And I just can't wait to tell you when it will be available. And I was going to leak what it's gonna be. But you know what? I'm gonna save that for my patrons. I'll even put a little spoiler alert on there in case you don't want to know what it is, or you just don't have the patience for waiting and knowing. It's probably going to be the biggest single project I've taken on in a while. Creating all of these fun hypno sessions that are going together in this comprehensive, leaving out a very important word here, training program. I really want it to be perfect, and I definitely always want it to be effective. I promise I will let you know when it's available, but if, you just want to make sure you don't miss out, come subscribe to the newsletter or subscribe on YouTube and click that little bell, or just join me on Patreon, where I now have an option for free membership and a community chat. That's just going to make it so much more likely that you will know when I have new fun things to share with you. Come on, you know the curiosity is getting to you.